This is the first and greatest commandment. But Jesus went on. There's another one in the same place. He said, but there's a second that is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. Now we're talking about responsibility to others. Now Jesus has said, first is responsibility to God, then responsibility to others. And that is as primary in our lives as the first. Compare yourself to that standard. How are you doing in this community in Robertsdale in taking care of people? You know, the greatest accusation to those of us who claim to be followers of Jesus Christ is that we ignore the needs of people around us. And indeed, we have become so insular. We who are the church, we're more concerned about how we get together and how we enjoy fellowship with people who are like ourselves than we are in meeting the needs of those around us. As Isaiah, in his condemnation of the people who call themselves by God's name, why aren't you taking care of the orphans? Why aren't you taking care of the widows? Why aren't you taking care of those who have need? So how are you doing with that? Personally, not collectively as a group, how are you doing personally with that? Someone asked as Jesus responded with this, well, who is my neighbor? And he told a story. Do you remember the story? It's about a Jewish traveler and a Samaritan man. These two who were at polar ends of the social spectrum, there was enmity between these two groups of people, and yet this wounded and dying Jewish man was rescued by a man who culturally was told, don't have anything to do with that guy. Who is your neighbor? Your neighbor is anyone who has a need. Well, what about the guy on the interstate intersection when I pull up to the light and it's got a sign that says, traveling, need help? Now, I know that he's just going to use my money to do, and you fill in some blank that offends, some blank of action that offends you. So I'm not going to give my money to him. I'm sorry. Where in the book is that? Who is your neighbor? Anyone. Anyone who has a need. Responsibility to God, responsibility to others. And there's one other. Turn in your Bibles to Luke chapter 9. Verse 23, Jesus speaking again about the third of those social platforms upon which healthy society is built. First, responsibility to God. Second, responsibility to others. And now, self-sacrifice. Then he said to the crowd, if any of you wants to be my follower, you must turn from your selfish ways, take up your cross daily, and follow me. Now, this issue of taking up a cross is something that we have relegated to a minor inconvenience in life. We talk about, well, that's just my cross to bear. And you're talking about a sore big toe or someone you don't like or some difficulty in life. Just my cross to bear. Listen, when Jesus said these words in ancient Roman-occupied Israel, these people knew exactly what he was talking about. He was talking about something upon which one dies, a cross. And the idea of taking up a cross, this was before his personal episode on the cross, but it was well known to those people that the condemned would have to carry their cross to the place of execution. Somehow Jesus was talking to those people about dying and then following. How does that work? He's talking about dying to self. Dying to those things that we hold so precious, those traditions, those mannerisms of life, those patterns of life, that we hold so precious that we will not leave them in favor of anything. And Jesus is saying, you must sacrifice yourself in order to follow me. You must die to those things to which you hold so carefully in order to follow me.